Hey guys, Mal here once again, and I'm back to keep singing the praises of Hollow Palm Unarmed Monk gameplay. We are, at this point, I think maybe level 90, 89, 90, something like that. And I've gone pretty slow and steady through the tiers, just been, upgrading very slowly as I go because I didn't want to, really expedite my playthrough too much and cut through a lot of the playthrough. And yeah, just been going through the tiers and it's been super, super fun. I really do enjoy this gameplay. The Shattering Palm has basically revolutionized my world where I'm just porting around everywhere, shattering entire screens of mobs, and then Ice Strike with just enough attack speed means that you basically have a more controlled Flicker Strike kind of gameplay. It really is reminiscent of Flicker Strike to me from PoE 1, the way you would have played it back then, but you can kind of have a lot more control of it. And on top of that, my single target actually seems to be pretty good. I've seen on various things like Reddit, Twitter, whatever it is, people say that, yep, the Hollow Palm Monk seems a bit weak because of, I don't know, not enough clear or survivability or even sometimes single target. None of that shit has really felt real to me. My single target has been pretty good all the way up to tier 15s and even beyond that, when I started trying some actual bosses, which I'll show you in a sec too, and then finally I also upgraded to Thunderfist too, which I'm still not entirely sure on, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So up till this point, the character hit like level 88, 89, probably on a one divine budget. Like I bought a few pieces of gear here or there, and I kept them very budget indeed. Once that was enough proof of concept for me that it's all good and going to work out with barely any investment, just some pretty solid items in every single slot so that you're getting enough evasion, attack speed, crit, all of that. That's when I did decide to try out the Thunderfist for the sake of the science and see what's going on there. And that's what the gameplay from now on, the last level or so of this character in the next few minutes of the video, has been. I bought Thunderfist, they cost like I think 8 or 9 divines for an okay roll, and that's what the purple lightning strike coming from the sky is now. It's basically adding an extra attack to almost every single attack you do. I think it can proc 5 times or something like that in a second, so it's not infinitely scaling for attack speed and all that, but it is giving, I think, something like 60% effective added damage for each of these little lightning strikes on top of every attack you pretty much do. So in theory, it should be a pretty decent extra bonus. The problem is it doesn't scale that well. Like, I don't think it's using our unarmed crit scaling, because when I checked it, it had like 14 crit. It's hard to kind of scale the damage, so it might be more of a utility, because yes, basically you buy Thunderfists, they replace your gloves, you can still have some decent stats on them, and then the inherent level 18 skill that I got on top of it does a certain amount of extra damage. It just zaps the enemy pretty much every time you're attacking. So in theory, it should be decent. The scaling on it's difficult, but all it does, I think, at the end of the day for us, is give us an extra utility proc. So something that can do extra crits for volatility. That can I've attached electrocute to it. It can blind if you need it to blind, stuff like that. I don't think it's doing crazy damage. So at the end of the day, I do feel like they're an upgrade, but I don't think they're really worth the huge amount of money you would otherwise spend for them. Because if you spent like 10 divines on the rest of your character, just investing and making sure that the gear is quite a bit better, I think you'd have a bigger result than just putting on some Thunderfists. So they're probably a min-max at the end of the day, but I'm not sure they're supremely worth, unless I'm missing something. But yeah, this is the first couple of Zesht fights I did, and the single target seems to be decent enough. Just put the bell down, do some attacking, freeze the mob, and it's okay DPS for what it is, because I think I've still got level 18 gems, so in theory we can get up to level 20 gems, which could be a lot bigger. Could also invest much heavier into my chest piece, which would give me a lot more evasion and ES. So overall, it has been going pretty good, and there is a lot more we can still do to make it an even bigger character. When I finally got rid of my old amulet, I crafted a new amulet with some extra spirit and stuff. The end result is that I could then put on Ghost Dance and Windwalker? Yeah, Windwalker. And I think that made us a lot thicker. So a lot of the game still kind of fucking sucks for melee right now. In particular, certain abyssal mobs and certain abyssal rare mods and stuff. So it's kind of rough out there, but once you get Ghost Dance in particular, I think things do get a good bit thicker. So you want something like 40 to 50% evasion. You do want some Ghost Dance in your life, and you do also want to make sure you have the right attack speed, the right crit, the right freeze chance, and it all starts to kind of come together. Because yes, this is going to be a bit more of a challenge, a bit more of a squishy sort of situation compared to some of the other things out there, but you can definitely get it to a point where it plays pretty well and you can feel fairly safe. I cannot sing its praises enough because this has been some of the funnest gameplay I've had in pretty much all of PoE 1 and 2 up to this point. It's just super fun, like poofing around and doing these big sort of shatters and stuff and feeling just pretty fucking ninja. So, it's a tough start if you're going to get into Hollow Palm Monk. I will not sugarcoat that. It just is what it is. That's how PoE 2 is built right now. Some things are going to start very tough, but as you slowly unlock some skills and get stronger, it starts to really come together and get quite fucking fun. So for that, I can recommend it. And if you've got some established gear, I think it should be quite a bit nicer to get into it as well. So it shouldn't be quite as painful. So with that, let me just go ahead and show you one last time what the more endgame version of my character looks like. And I'll leave both max rolls of like the previous version that's more or less budget, and then the endgame version in the description of this YouTube video, so that you guys can quit asking me for a written guide, because that's as best as I can do. There's no POB, there's no update yet, and you can just have, the max roll of it to reference whenever you need to. So here we are with the final kind of version of the character. Slightly uncapped res, a bit better evasion, a bit better energy shield and life, and also just having Wind Dancer and Ghost Dance, and then putting on Thunderfist as well. So all of that combined has made the character feel pretty fucking good, although I felt pretty happy with it before all of this as well on the 1 Divine version. At this point, I think we're more like a 13, 14 Divine character, and it's feeling just like a super cool playstyle. I wanted to get deflection up more, and I think that's still possible with a new chest, because at this point, Cosper's Will is a super budget, just nothing chest for our character. I think I paid like 2 chaos for it. And if you actually look up real chests, you can either go a full evasion chest with 2k plus evasion and just attack way faster and have a little bit less crit, or you can go a bigger hybrid chest that has 1400 evasion, about 400 or 500 ES depending on your budget, and then also extra deflect on top of that as a suffix. And I think that's going to be a bit of a game changer as well, because the withered on this one doesn't really do too much anymore. We kill things way too quick for that to matter, and the chaos damage I have isn't super relevant, I don't think, because once again, Acolyte Achila, it's kind of meme. It doesn't do much for us. I did as good as I could to make this a thing, so I do have this is kind of useful, still giving us some extra shock and stuff. But for the most part, the volatility ain't doing much. It sometimes kicks in where I can, line it up well, or on a longer boss fight, where combined with instability, I, pop off a lot, get a lot of volatility, and then I've got Quarter Stife Strike that has Catharsis on it, that just I can pop it immediately. That'll still noticeably do more damage, but realistically, just being an Invoker and having the extra lightning, extra cold, avatar, and bypass crit Eliraz is just going to feel way better. So if you want a better feeling character, probably just go that route. Otherwise, you can meme it up with Chonk and have the volatilities and stuff. And then also this, which gives us a bit of extra purple damage occasionally. So once again, if none of that matters, then this absolutely doesn't matter, and that's pretty much where we're at. So I can become much better with a new chest, and I probably will do that when I play for one more day on this character today. Otherwise, yep, we got Thunderfist. So if you haven't seen, Crackling Palm is that. It creates a bolt lightning when you hit an enemy with unarmed melee. It doesn't scale the same way as our other shit, so it doesn't deal quite a lot of damage. As you can see, let's just say, 30k DPS there. Crackling Palm itself, the average damage on it is, that much. It's going to be hitting for a little bit, and it's mostly kind of like utility. You can see it doesn't have a whole bunch of extra damage. It's not like scaling off crit, and it is attack persistent AoE lightning, so it's not even like a melee. So yeah, I've attached some stuff to it, lightning attunement for extra lightning, close combat for damage, electrocute, which I don't think is doing much at the moment, so bear that in mind, and then extra damage there. realistically, yeah, I don't know if Thunderfists are really that worth it, but they do look cooler and they do have some utility sort of vibe to them. So otherwise, yep, just got a belt with some res and stuff. I finally picked up boots with movement speed. So I've been living with 0 movement speed boots for 2 days because they just had better stats. So we're talking about these boots here. So you really don't need movement speed in this character as you're like porting around a lot and also sprinting as much as you can. So I had no movement speed this entire time, but picking up movement speed does feel a bit nicer for, end game running around. So these cost a divine. That's a ring from before, maybe like 40, 60C or something. This ring cost a divine, so I needed to get leech somewhere else on my gloves when I put on Thunderfist. And also an additional skill slot so I could fit in Ghost Dance and Wind Dancer. And then same hat. And then I crafted a new amulet. So a good way of crafting amulets at the moment is if you just pick up a +3 of some kind of description. So for us, it's +3 melee. It's a blue item. You can then fucking essence of life it, and that guarantees life. And then you just hit it with a veil, any old veil, one of these sorts of things, and then unveil something. So I'm just let Jesus take the wheel. Went full RNG and got crit bonus. And then I used a greater exalt with a double exalt. I don't have the omen on me, so use 2 at once, just so you can use 2 greater exalts at once and fill it up. And that let me, have this amulet. It made me a few other amulets that sold for a lot as well. So you can kind of just like fill up some pretty high tier amulets when you start out with a blue version of plus skills. And yeah, this is what I got, and that's why I fit in both Ghost Dancer, Ghost Shroud, and Wind Dancer. If I didn't make an amulet quite like this with enough spirit, I just would have dropped Wind Dancer. I don't think that's a big deal. Ghost Dancer is where Ghost Shroud is where we're getting most of our extra defense. So that's what I'm using more than anything for my spirit. If you don't have that extra spirit by any means, just get rid of Wind Dancer, and then it should still feel very good. So yeah, that's basically kind of like the end result. As far as our passive tree, I moved over to pick up a Heart of the Veil, extra jewel over there. There's lots and lots of good stuff on these. I just picked up damages, extra chaos, and then some skill speed, cost 1 divine. You can combo for much better than these even, but that's where we're at with that. Otherwise, I filled out all the crit. I filled out some extra daze wheels here for pretty effective damage and pretty effective crit, while also dazing enemies very reliably. And then that's the rest of the tree. And like I said, Chonk or Acolyte Healer, pretty much a meme. I might try Invoker today and see how much better it feels. But overall, yeah, it's I don't know. It's okay. Like, it's something, but it's probably just going to be much better to be Invoker. Who knows? Aside from that, you can see all my skills and stuff. I'm going to just post the max roll there. Not too much has changed. I just added a couple of 6 links because I found plenty of the 6 links. So they're pretty, easy to do. There's something like 60 or 70 exalts. Not hard to do additional 6 links. Ice Strike, I added like, what did I add? I don't know. Nothing, maybe close combat. Yeah, that's kind of our setup at this stage. Otherwise, the only other thing to mention is MTX, because some people have just asked for my cloak, because that's pretty much the only thing I'm wearing. Heritage cloak. Otherwise, that is what a Cospriest looks like, and then I just put Vanishing Die for the hat, so I just look kind of a bit more, assassin monk style. So yeah, absolutely love the character. Could not recommend trying some Unarmed Monk enough. It's gonna have a painful start, but if you like get through that part where you just eventually, kung fuing your way around, it should be one of the funnest playstyles you have in the game. That's my opinion anyway. So with that, hope you guys have been enjoying PoE2. Hope you enjoyed this journey with my character, and I'll see you guys next time.